again, it's one of those wines it's very hard to get hold of because I've only got a few bottles. When people buy it in the restaurant, I'm almost like, no, you don't buy that.
Hi there, I'm Tim from Sorrells. I'm here today with the famous Jason Atherton, the Michelin-starred chef, in this fabulous surroundings of Row 5. We're here today not just to talk about food, but also our obsession, if you like, with wine and secret doors that we've got. So, so I'm going to start with a few questions for you, Jason.
Absolutely.
I'm intrigued, actually. For me, when I started getting interested in food, I know it sounds really silly, it was beans on toast with a little bit of cheese on top, bit of Worcester sauce, that type of thing.
Very
And
posh.
I know, and it sort of started to elevate sort of my culinary experiences, if you like. And I was just wondering what you got into and how you developed into being a chef.
Gosh, deep question to start with.
I know, yeah.
Well, you know, much like yourself, I was very much a beans on toast guy. I did experiment, so the chefing was coming out of me when I was younger, because I put it in a Breville toaster with the cheese inside the bread, so a little bit more posh. But I no, on a serious note, my parents split when I was quite young. My mum moved to Skegness, remarried, and then they bought a guest house called Sorrento. I became a barrow boy, so I would wait at the train station. I was about maybe 8 or 9 or 10. And then once my day was over for that, I would have to help mum, help with the laundry, do the washing up, do a bit of prep, and that type of stuff. And I was really young, but I loved it. My sister hated it because she was more of a teenager, so she was, into Wham and go to the school discos and all that type of stuff. And I was so young that I just thrived in this environment. I was about 14 and mum started saying, you need to find out what you want to be. And I just said, I want to be a chef.
Wow.
And that was it.
Another deep and meaningful question for you. Be honest, did you ever think you'll be here?
I wanted to be in this position, not in this position where we're sat today, as in like owning a restaurant like this, no. But I just wanted to be a great chef, and I always say to people coming into any industry, at my grand old age of 53, if I can impart any wisdom in anybody, is just be good at something. Don't do something because you want to be successful, right? Just if whatever your chosen field is, just do it because you're passionate about it, right? I wanted to learn how to make bread properly, how to make, proper soufflés, how to, cook meat properly, how to make proper sauces. That's all I cared about. And I thought if I can get good at it, I can look after my family. That was only ever really the dream. To sit there and go, do you think one day you were going to be a 2 Michelin-star chef? No, that was never the dream. That was something what happened by just being determined and just taking on a new challenge and trying to be the best we possibly could be.
I agree with you. For me, it's, building a business up from scratch, if you like, to doing something as beautiful as that's in here. It's so rewarding. If I had a place like this, I think I'd be here every morning before anybody else.
Yeah.
Because it's beautiful.
Yeah, no, it is. It's beautiful. I feel very passionate about this restaurant, and I think it's only 7 months old, but I think it has the ability to go on to be, something very special.
I imagine you worked in all these fabulous kitchens around the world. So what is the one idea that you've taken from somebody and developed to the way that I think it should be done, whether it's a dish or whether it's part of a restaurant or?
Probably. I spent all of my life from the age of 18 up until probably 27, 28, so a decade working in 3 Michelin-star restaurants, or two what then went on to win 3. And then I sort of fell out of love with fine dining a little bit. When it was time to open my own restaurant, I didn't really want to open a small little fine dining restaurant, because back then the restaurants were predominantly no music, 40 covers, you had a lunch menu, small tasting menu, a la carte, waiters dressed like penguins. Do you know what I mean? And then, I went to a place called Zuma, what had launched in London 20-something years ago. And all right, that was Japanese food, but I was like, oh my God, this place is alive. The walls are alive. Everything about it is just alive. Do you mean? Of course, I don't cook Japanese food, right? But then I remember chatting to Gordon and saying, what if we put, French cuisine with some sort of Asian influence in this type of environment, we could captivate the audience with this magic of ambience and music and fun and excitement. And Gordon was like, yeah, I think, you know, we could be onto something here. And then Gordon got Rockwell to design it. And then, you know, me and Gordon then set about, you know, creating all the tableware and what the dishes would look like. And then we created this menu of maize. That changed everything for me. That became the new me. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's probably the thing I took the most from working in those type of restaurants, and that changed it. So Zuma sort of changed things for me.
Okay, now we're going to move on to one of our favourite subjects, which is obviously wine.
Vino.
Oh, we love a bit of wine. So, I mean, what got you started into wine? What was so for me? I remember when I was younger, sitting on, believe it or not, on a coach, drinking Chateauneuf de Pape on the back seat with a friend of mine, and it sort of started to spark a little bit of an interest in wine, if you like, and now that's developed over the years. I mean, what was your hook, if you like, into wine?
It came quite late, I've got to be honest. I'm not going to sit here and say, you know, as a young chef, I did X, Y, and Z. You know, I was very fortunate to work at a restaurant in France called Auberge de Lille for Marc Hamelin. And my bedroom window, a small room I was renting, actually looked onto Hugel, the famous vineyard there. And I could literally touch the grapes from my window. The lady I was living with always used to cook rabbit and mustard.
Mustard?
Yeah, and then she would serve wine. So I wanted to recreate that moment for my mum and dad. So, you know, I got a rabbit and then I served this bottle of wine. And it was that thing of, it was the first time really as a younger cook that I started to understand the importance from a public point of view of why the wine matches so well with certain dishes. And then I started to pay a little bit more interest in the wine list in the restaurants I was working in. A restaurant like this, 50% of your turnover will come from wine in a restaurant like this. How would you not pay any interest in that as a restaurateur? You have to, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And as a chef owner, right? You have to pay interest in it. So there's a financial point from it also. But I suppose as I got older, when I started to collect wine, I would read about these, you know, some of the really important wines and dream of tasting them, understanding, you know, why, for me, it was like, why would something like Romanée-Conti be so, I find it fascinating. You've got a plot of land in the middle of Burgundy. You've got land next door and land next to it. But this small plot of land
is an absolute fortune.
Yeah, is producing the best wines that's ever been drank in through history. How? That surely the land there's got to be exactly the same in there. It can't be just the winemaker, because the winemakers have changed over generations, right?
Yeah, it's just that bit there.
I find it fascinating, and you know, and then I love hearing stories about wines like Clos Rougeard. What was introduced to me by the chef Michele from Hedoni, and he talked about the 100-point wine and how it fooled all of the top sommeliers in Paris at a wine tasting when it got put into a Burgundy tasting, even though it's from Loire Valley, and it beat them all. And it caused controversy in Le Figaro. So I just find the whole world of wine super fascinating. But when you have a really nice time in a restaurant, a good percentage of that is down to the wine drunk. For sure. And not just about getting tipsy, about the quality of the wine. You know, and you don't have to pay a fortune. I mean, I was recently, last summer, we went to Positano for our summer break. I drank this wine, it was like 80 euros. And it was drinking like a huge Burgundy. It was delicious. I mean, my God, it was, I ended up drinking it the whole holiday. Do you know? And I love that.
Yeah, totally. When you find something like that, you think, wow, not come across this before, and it's like, especially when you're away on holidays, it's just fabulous.
Yeah, and then we have the pleasure of being able to then import it and share it with our guests. And it's a nice story. Say, look, I know I drank this in Positano. I would, you know, it works perfectly with shellfish, fish. Guests go, wow, it's amazing, and it's so affordable.
So okay, then let's flip that round the other way. So what was the wine that you're the most disappointed, one that sort of broke your heart?
I can't say the name, Tim. I couldn't say that, but I did.
Write it down on a piece of paper.
I did, yeah. The thing is, here's what I know. At my grand old age, here's what I do know. You could drink something I could drink something, and there's a massive opinion because of our
100%,
palate, right?
yeah.
A perfect example. People get all a little bit anxious about a little chill on a red wine. And it was actually the sommelier there what taught me this. The 3-star in outside Positano, Quattro Passi, and we bought a beautiful bottle of Luce from the Frescobaldi family, and he said, look, you know, it was so hot, Tim. Oh my God, it was so hot that day. And he was like, if you don't mind, I'd like to put a little bit of a chill on it. It'll close the tannins a little bit, but I think you'll enjoy it more. And it was a revelation to me. And we've tried it now with several different types of wine. We enjoy it, whether you're supposed to do it or not.
Yeah, it's personal, isn't it?
Exactly that.
That's what I love about wine. It's very personal.
So to answer your question, I won't name the wine, but I did buy a very good bottle of Bordeaux, a wine I'd wanted to try for a long time. And I was very underwhelmed. And I was like, damn, I just want that to be so much more.
Oh, yeah.
Do you mean?
Sometimes some of the lesser known names, should we say, and the cheaper bottles actually sing so much better than, should we say, the premier one.
It doesn't matter if you have a glass of white wine at 20 quid or whether you come here and spend a small fortune on wine. We'll give you the same experience. One thing what did annoy me once, I was in the States again a long time ago, and there was a table next to me what had an incredible array of wines. You know, I was very envious. You know, I was hoping they was going to leave a little bit for me. Sat next to us, and we were treated like second-rate citizens. I always said to myself that we would never do that in our restaurants. Do you know what I mean? It's very important that everybody comes out for an experience, no matter whether they've saved for it, whether they can afford it, whether it's a birthday celebration, whatever it is, that we have to make sure that we have the ability to give them that beautiful wine experience.
Oh, totally. You know, because if they've, you know, they're putting all their money into it and they come into the restaurant, they'll remember that for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely.
You know, and somewhere as special as this, then they're going to come in, they're going to tell everybody it was the best thing, best experience, the service, the wine, the food, everything, and the way we're treated.
Yeah, absolutely.
I totally get it, yeah. So then, if we look at it another way then, so you have a fabulous wine collection here, and I'm sure you've got a very nice wine collection at home as well. When you're at home, what wine would you pull out if you tell your best mate was coming around? Tomorrow will be fine. What wine would you pull out?
I'll always try and match the wine with the food. If I was trying to impress somebody, I do like Clos Rougeat. It's one of my favourite wines. I love Siniquina. If it's big, that's a big bit of a show-off wine.
Yeah.
I haven't got many left, and it's hard to get. So if Rory's watching this, please, Rory, can you make sure I get my allocation? I like surprising people a little bit and say, look what I found, type thing.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
But at the same time, I like some of the big boy stuff. I love Trevelyan. I'm a big fan of Trevelyan. I love John Louis Chave.
Yeah.
I love it. And I'm a massive fan of Rhone wine. So my favourite all-time winemaker would probably have to be Yves Gandalf.
Oh, really?
I love Yves Gandalf. I'm a collector, right? So now I love it. You know,
Wow.
and we are, you know, he's co-roti, and it's just, I mean, we have it here on the list. But it's one of those wines. It's very hard to get hold of because I've only got a few bottles. When people buy it in the restaurant, I'm almost like, no, you don't buy that.
Yeah,
it's for
buy
the
that
cellar.
one over there. That's mine. Yeah, bugger off. Yeah. Yeah. So have you been to any of these vineyards?
I've never been to Yves Gandalf. No, I'd love to. We went to Clos Rougeat, but I've never been to Yves Gandalf. We've been to, we're quite lucky. We've been to a few. We're now starting to sort out our vineyard trips, so we're quite looking forward to it. But also, we need to do stuff for the kids, right? It's not really kid-friendly vineyards. We went to, when we were in Napa Valley, we took them to Harlan Estate.
Oh, right.
And I was just on tenterhooks the whole time because my 5-year-old is running around like a lunatic. I have no idea. She thought it was a playground. I'm like,
I know.
This is one of the most important vineyards in the world. You just can't run around like this. But, you know, what do you do with a 5-year-old, right?
Yeah, all my kids are way too old now, so that's fine. But my fond memories are, one of my favourite wines is San Leonardo.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
So I've been there a couple of times now, but it's the memories it creates with that and a few friends, where you're driving around in a 2CV and he's got 4 German Shepherds that run after you. and they follow the car, and you go through all the vineyards and everything like that. They do their own honey, they do all stuff like this, and the grappa is, I'm not a fan of grappa, but that's the only one that I tend to drink.
Yeah.
The fire water.
Yeah, rocket fuel, right?
Oh my God. Moving on to sort of the restaurant side of things, I'm actually curious on this. How do you go about getting or employing a sommelier in it? What sort of, is it through recommendation?
It's got to be somebody who shares that same passion. I know that's easy said, but you'll be surprised, you know, you'll get some somms who do it, enjoy it, but you know, to work here, that cellar has got to be your life, right? That's the passion and the detail and the, you know, what we get from Roxanne is like, oh my God, chef, I found this incredible wine, you know, can I buy it? And it's like, I'm okay, fine.
Do you get to taste it though? That's the thing.
Well, no, because we got to sell it, right? And if we tasted everything, we'd be skinned.
Yeah, that's true.
Because most people who come here and drink nice wine know how passionate we are about it all. We're very fortunate that they always say, oh, you know, just send chef a tiny bit for him to taste. So I get to taste some incredible wines. We do Petrus by the glass. We're one of the largest sellers of Petrus in the country at the moment. We do Chateau Yquem by the glass. We're on our 5th 19-litre bottle since we've opened in 7 months. That's how much of it we're selling.
Wow.
And we're only 28 guests, right? So you've got to remember that.
Yeah,
when you put it into context, it's not like we're doing 100 covers of service. I've been collecting DRC now for over 15 years, and I've sold more bottles here in 7 months than I have in 14 years. And we're doing DRC by the glass. We're one of the few places. In fact, we had a guest who had dinner, bought some DRC by the glass, loved it so much, came back the next night just to sit on his own at the bar and just drink DRC. Didn't eat.
Wow.
So that shows, right?
Yeah, that 100% shows. To actually go to a restaurant where you can actually drink DRC by the glass, that then gives it accessibility to a lot more people.
Yeah.
Which I think is incredible.
Yeah, you know, we do salon, because we have to be realistic, right? Not some of these big wines, you know, I can't afford to drink them. I can't afford to go to a restaurant and buy a £20,000 bottle of DRC. I can't afford it. Do you know?
Yeah.
You know, that's the reality of it. You know, but some people can. You know, and that's their enjoyment.
Yeah, no, I was talking to Spencer earlier, and just some of our clients have come down and the experiences they've had in here, and actually having the ability to see the wines and the variations that you've got. For them, it was a fabulous journey, and I know that they thoroughly enjoyed themselves. I mean, it was.
So we're doing our job properly.
Oh, 100%. He couldn't stop talking. One of them telling me what he drunk, when he drunk it, what the food was like, and everything.
Well, if you think about it, as you get older, restaurants become an entertainment place for people where they can go spend their hard-earned money, relax, create memories, and enjoy our creativity of what we create for them on a plate and with a wine list, right? And that's magic for people. It's really magic.
So do you see restaurants today as more about not only the food, but also the theatre that goes with it? They're a bit like more of a theatre place that people come to with all the displays, the lights, the surroundings and that type of thing. I mean, how's that progressed over the years?
I think, in my opinion, the new generation of diners absolutely value collecting memories. And our job as chefs is to go through the menus to do that. And then, of course, you know, Roxanne and her team's job is to create a liquid memory, what goes with that. Again, a perfect example, a guest pulled me over the other night and said the turbot with the mussels and the wine pairing was probably the single best pairing she'd ever had anywhere in the world. So she'll talk about that at a dinner party, you know, when people start talking about wine pairing, she goes, oh my God, when I was at Royal 5, I had this and this, right? And it was incredible. And we do that through many touch points. You know, if you go outside to smoke, we have a smoking jacket, what's made, so you don't have to get your own jacket. We dry clean your jacket when you arrive. We do the chopsticks with your name on it. There's so many touch points, what we've worked with different people to create those memories. You know, I mean, like the kitchen you're sat in here with Smallbone, you know, it's supposed to feel like a really high-end apartment, what you can't afford, where you sit there and, you know, most beautiful houses have a Smallbone kitchen, you know, most beautiful homes have a Sorrell wine cellar. So we wanted that. That was really important to us, to create that space, what makes memories. And then you go to the main dining room where again, it's another level of luxury, and then back down. And then all of a sudden you've got this journey now, what creates these really special memories. So when people leave, they'll go, I'll never forget tonight. And that's the magic of what the modern day restaurant can create.
Yeah, it was curious to see how your concept come into it, and you actually come down here, you're welcome. I mean, this is such a relaxing area. Obviously, the nice touch with the fireplace and everything, it is fabulous. And all the lighting and whatever, it makes it very relaxed and very nice. Where you come up with the idea of taking us through here to here, then actually this is your first part of your journey, and then you go up there for your second part of your journey, you come back down here for the third part of your journey. Whereas years ago, we used to sit at a table and didn't move, and you'd be sitting here like this all the time, fidgeting, and it seems to be a lot more relaxed. It was how you come up with that concept.
Well, if you think about human nature, what people would do is they book a restaurant and then you'd be fidgety after a couple of hours, right? You're now thinking about the next place to go to. What our job was, okay, can we create spaces? And this is not just here, this is our other restaurants where you don't have to leave. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
And that really stemmed from the private members clubs, what have boomed in London in the last 2 decades. You know, the Annabelles, the Marks clubs, the Hertford Streets, all of this, where a lot of our clients go to. Why? Because they feel safe, they arrive, they can have dinner, they can then dance, they can drink, you know, socialize, little breakout areas, get a taxi, go home. So they don't have to mess around trying to book 3 different venues. So how do we translate that into fine dining? And to be fair, to be honest, you know, I'm always a believer in credit where credit's due. The first person who came up with that was Bjorn Francine at Francine in Stockholm, where you started in the apartment, you know, went down to the counter, and then, you know, had a look in the wine cellar, went back upstairs and so forth. But what we want to create was that sort of high-end apartment in Mayfair, stroke members club type thing. When you sit here as 28 guests, it almost feels like your own little private wine members club, you know?
Yeah.
Where you can have dinner. You know? And that's what we wanted to create.
If you had unlimited budget, could go anywhere in the world, and there's no rules or regulations, what concept would you come up with? Would you be in the side of a volcano for a restaurant, or would you be in a submarine or whatever? Just if there was no boundaries, nothing. No, you could do whatever you wanted.
There's no boundaries.
No boundaries. So, you know,
now you've got my creative.
You've got, so right, okay,
going.
I could do the top of Mount Etna, or a spaceship flying around the world, or whatever. It's just as a curiosity thing.
I think if there's no boundaries, and this is purely, I think our palates react better to nostalgia than futuristic, you know, and I've worked in both restaurants. So when you know, I worked at LB, which was incredible, right? Yeah. And, you know, but it was not so much about the palate, it was more about how far can we push food, do you know?
Yeah.
And it was incredible. I mean, Farhan was a genius, right? But what would if I could create a journey, I suppose, I love, you know, the one thing I want to do before I die is I want to take my wife. You know, I have to be, you know, when I can afford it, but I really want to go on the original train from Paris to Venice, the Orient Express. And I would love to be able to create something where you are secretly picked up in London. Maybe you're served a drink and a snack of some, I don't know, I'd have to come up with something, right? Sherlock Holmesy, something, London, something, wow. Right? And then we transport you on a train to Paris. You're then met for like 4 or 5 hours in Paris, and we create a Parisian, authentic experience type thing. And then you're put on this beautiful old worldy train where, as we go through France, we create so many dishes on the regions we're passing. And then we go, I assume I don't even know where it goes. I assume it goes over the Alps, You know, at that point, you're potentially in Alpine food, into Switzerland, you know, and then going into Italy. Then we make the food a little bit more Italian until you arrive in Venice, right? Drinking wines from all of those regions as you're passing through them and creating some sort of experience of that would be really cool, I think. And, you know, I love the fact that when you go on the Orient Express, as everyone knows, the reason why we even wanted to open on Savile Row is I love, you know, tailoring and all of that. And I love the fact that if you're on the Orient Express, you have to get dressed up. It's mandatory, right? You have to get dressed up. You know? And I love that, you know, we've sort of, rightly or wrongly, it doesn't really matter, it's only my opinion, that we've lost a little bit of that, right? And I mean, we've lost a little bit of our Britishness. It's only me, I get it. You look, in this free world, wear whatever you want, whenever you want. There's no dress code here, right? We've had people in flip-flops and t-shirts. So yeah, and I don't mind, it doesn't matter to me. But it's that thing of, I would love to create some oldie worldy trip to Venice and back through food and wine. It'd be amazing.
That certainly beats my idea of a volcano. So on a personal front, you know, as you know, I love this place. So why did you choose Sorrells?
Do you know what, Tim? It was an easy decision. Everything what we do here at Row 5 is a celebration of British craftsmanship. And Sorrells is #1 at their game. If I bought a French cabinet company to come in and make my wine cellars in the middle of Savile Row, makes no sense. Even through every recipe, it's great British produce, great British craftsmanship in our wine cellars. The kitchen with small boat the same. Everything what we do is a celebration of Britain. And that is something what is unique to here on Savile Row. We're right in the middle of the epicenter of what is known globally now as the #1 street in the world for craftsmanship.
Fantastic.
And that's why we chose Sorrells.
Okay then, hang on a minute then. So hang on. When we built this for you, you said the secret door. Is it still your favourite bit?
Yes, 100%. Because it's just different, right? It was a dream what me and you came up with and said, like, wouldn't it be cool to have an infinity of wines by the glass on display where once the lights are lit up, people just, they love it, you know?
I do like the little touch of the engraved bit at the bottom, I must admit.
I also like the champagne cellar, certainly when it's this time of year, so I might go in there and cool off a little bit. So I like them both.
For my perspective on it, I mean, this is all fabulous, but it was the fun in creating your hands, yours and
Yeah, well,
Spencer's.
that was your idea, not mine.
No,
and I loved it.
That was getting you to mould your hand in holding a bottle. And I do distinctly remember my jumper getting covered in plaster. That was it. And thinking, again, my wife went to me, what on earth have you been doing? And so it's hard to explain to her that you know, you're putting your hand in there and this plaster's going everywhere. So yeah, it was definitely fun.
It was fun. And to think, my God, all that time ago, and here we are. And there they are.
Yeah.
Holding some beautiful wine.
It's a great way of actually presenting the DRC.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, thank you, Jason. It's been an absolute privilege, so thank you.
Appreciate you turning yourself into Jonathan Ross for me for the day.
I hope I'm not, is he older than me or is he younger? Oh, that's got you lot, hasn't it? Yes, no, thank you very much. I really appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you.